Hey, what's going on, guys? Aaron here. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Bitcoin ETF and why, even though there's a lot of inflows, the price of Bitcoin isn't really going higher. It's actually been going lower. I'm also going to talk about M2 money supply. I'm going to talk about the Bitcoin market cycles, where we are compared to previous cycles, and what kind of ROI most likely we'll be looking at, and just kind of where we are in terms of the halving and all of that. I want to start out really quick looking at this picture right here from Swan Media over on Twitter. This shows where all of the Bitcoin is being held right now. Basically, only 2.1 million Bitcoin, or around 10% or so, are being held between these ETFs I'll talk about in just a moment, different funds, private and public companies, governments, and even DeFi. The rest of the Bitcoin is held in the hands of individuals or lost for good. MicroStrategy has about 190 million Bitcoin. The GBTC, Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, which I'll talk about in just a moment, they have about 580,000 Bitcoin. Different countries hold some as well, but the rest are held by individuals or lost. And why that's important to remember is because as the inflows get higher and higher into these ETFs, and as the outflows from GBTC get less, basically creating a higher net inflow, that will really begin to impact the price of Bitcoin. And taking a look at this chart from Eric, he says that despite GBTC seeing a negative $590 million outflow just on Friday alone, so right here, day 6, negative 590 million for Grayscale, the 9 other Bitcoin ETFs overwhelmed it with a positive 623 million, which is the third best day. So overall, we have been positive for inflows versus Grayscale with their very, very high fees. Basically, people that held GBTC are wanting to exit, and what that does is it puts some pressure and it basically creates outflows of Bitcoin, and there is just some rebalancing going on right now. So who is selling GBTC? Well, a lot of companies have GBTC. It was previously the only way to basically hold on to Bitcoin, other than saying buying a proxy like MicroStrategy. But as more Grayscale leaves and it comes back into these other ETFs that have lower fees and are just better to hold, in my opinion, eventually I can see the price of Bitcoin begin to go up. Right now, though, we are still seeing a lot of selling pressure from Grayscale. I believe that FTX is selling their GBTC, as well as other companies and institutions. And here, Bitcoin overtakes silver to become the second biggest commodity ETF, and it's only week 1. So the gold ETF is valued at around $96 billion. The Bitcoin ETFs are basically valued at probably more than this now, since this was a few days ago, but maybe $27 or $28 billion. And Dr. Jeff Ross on Twitter, very smart guy, highly suggest you follow him. He says that the Bitcoin price will likely recover soon after the global M2 money supply rebounds. In the meantime, enjoy the cheaper sats for stacking. And that brings me right to Into the Cryptoverse, Ben Cowan's website, where you can easily plot this chart, or he has this available to see. I would highly suggest signing up for his website. There's a lot of value here, so many charts. There's a link below if you do want to pick that up. But right here, we can see M2 money supply versus Bitcoin. And if I just highlight this little section right here and looking at this red line, the M2 money supply is less than where it was a little while ago. And Jeff thinks that as M2 money supply gets back to its all-time highs, we will see a new all-time high for Bitcoin. And the final thing I want to talk about in this short video for you guys is Bitcoin market cycle bottom ROI. I really, really love this chart from Into the Cryptoverse because it basically plots out exactly where we are compared to the other market cycles, or the other halving 4-year cycles, I could say. So I took away the first market cycle because that was way back in the day. So removing that, we can see that the second market cycle right here in orange, from the bottom, meaning the lowest price of Bitcoin in that cycle, it did over, again, a 400x. Going to the cycle after that, here in yellow, we can see that that one did over a 100x at its peak. That was going to be the one back, I believe, that ended in 2017. The last cycle that ended at the end of 2021, right here in green, from the bottom, it did about a 20x or so. And here we are in the current cycle. So we are about 400 days from the bottom of this cycle at around $16,000 or so. So there could be diminishing returns, meaning that every previous cycle, if I go back to cycle 3, It was a lot higher than cycle 4 and cycle 2 did a higher ROI than cycle 3, etc. But even if it does do, let's say, a diminishing returns and it ends up around here, we still have maybe another 3 to 4 to 5x before we could possibly hit the peak market price for Bitcoin. So right now we are again at around a 3x from the all-time low at around $15,000. And it could still do like another 3x from here, and that would be very, very conservative. If Bitcoin does what it did in the last cycle, that would mean that maybe we'd have another 5 to 6 to 7x from where we are right now. So that would be around, a $280,000, $300,000 Bitcoin for this cycle, which is not out of the question, especially if they keep inflating the money supply, especially if stocks keep hitting new all-time highs, which they are. The S&P 500 is continuing to hit new all-time highs. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of context here. Again, we are exactly or very close to where we were in the previous market cycle in terms of the ROI. So it's good just to be aware. A little bit of context. I will bring back market cycle 3 here, market cycle 2, and then market cycle 1 is obviously just like a hockey stick up. I can remove that, but it's good to be aware of this. And last thing before I end the video is I want to talk about Bitcoin mining stocks really quick. I plan to get some experts on the station to really explain what they're looking for when it comes to Bitcoin mining stocks. These had an insane run up in the final months of last year. And since the beginning of the year, there has been like a 50% pullback on a lot of these stocks. And basically these Bitcoin mining stocks can be seen as just a higher risk play on Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin were to go to new all-time highs, usually these will do much better than Bitcoin, but they can also do much worse than Bitcoin. So I will talk about Bitcoin mining stocks in a future video because I am very interested in them. I think a lot of us watching maybe have like a retirement account, a Roth IRA, a 401k, or just a normal IRA, and you may want to get some allocation to Bitcoin beyond just getting the ETFs. Maybe you just want something a little bit higher leverage in a sense. So I will be talking about that as well. So that's basically it. Again, right now for the price of Bitcoin, we are looking at a lot of outflows from GBTC. The other ETFs are still having positive inflows every single day. But remember that the ETFs just make up a very small percent of the entire market of Bitcoin. So it's not surprising that we can have inflows in the ETFs, but also the price of Bitcoin can be going down. And if you're watching this just for Celsius updates, there's really nothing to be said about that. We are still waiting for the effective date, and then we can know exactly the percent that we are getting back. So we're still waiting on that news. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Till next time, talk with you soon, and bye for now.